PFF seems to love the Chicago Bears as the Bears are represented well in both the tackle rankings and the wide receiver rankings. And Caleb Williams ranks in the top 20 quarterbacks headed into the season by Chris Sims. We'll talk about all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. And Pro Football Focus does not seem to be as down on the Bears tackles as what some Bears fans are, specifically Braxton Jones. PFF is in the midst of grading position by position. And of the top tackles in the NFL, its top 32 list, the Bears had 2 tackles ranked in that list. And so, listen, we're going to go ahead and talk about it. Right. So now the Bears did come in towards the bottom of that list. Braxton Jones came in at number 31. Darnell Wright came in at number 32. Specifically when it came to Braxton Jones, saying this: a 5th-round pick out of Southern Utah in 2022, Jones proved in 2023 that his impressive rookie season was not a fluke. Although he was slowed down by injury and a bit of a decline from his 2022 season, he's still one of the 24 offensive tackles that have earned pass blocking grades of over 70 in each of the last 2 seasons. You guys know, we've been here at Chicago Bears Central here recently saying that while Braxton Jones has not improved, right? And even, in this, blurb from PFF, they basically say the same thing. He took a bit of a step down. He's still not as bad as what some Bears fans have now made Braxton Jones out to be. They had some issues up and down that offensive line. On top of Braxton Jones not handling the bull rush correctly, the problem with Braxton isn't that he's terrible. And I hate that the conversation has now gone from legitimate critiques about Braxton Jones's game to making it paint him out to be this horrible player that he just isn't. He's not horrible by any stretch of the imagination. The fact that he comes ranked in here at towards the bottom of the list, says one thing. There are 64 starting tackles in the NFL, one on each side. And the fact that out of the 32 of those, 2 of them are Chicago Bears, I think that points to the fact that Braxton Jones is right at an average tackle in the NFL. Not terrible, not great, right? And he has to improve. This is probably his last chance to really show some improvement before the Bears really take a look at it. And, of course, with some of the tackles that were in this draft that would have naturally been upgrades over Braxton Jones, that's where some, Bears fans were hoping that we were going to make an upgrade at. When you look at Joe Alt, Olu Fashanu, those type of players, the Bears decided to go a different route. That doesn't mean that they couldn't pivot later on. But Braxton Jones is a guy that I've been saying for a while now, after my own kind of harsh criticisms on Braxton as well, kind of earlier in the offseason, is the fact that Braxton is not terrible. He's solid. And he has some things that he absolutely can improve on. But the fact of the matter is that most tackles in the NFL are right around where Braxton Jones is. That's solid. Doesn't mean the Bears can't improve at it, and we'll see. The next selection in this was Darnell Wright. He was the only second-year player on the list overall. When you look at Darnell Wright, they talked about his 66 run blocking grade last year over his rookie season, his first season in the NFL, and then the way that he progressed over it. Darnell Wright gave up 1 sack in each of his first 5 games in the NFL, but then only allowed 3 total sacks over the final 12 games, showing that he went through that trial by fire, and he really improved a lot over the course of his rookie season. And Braxton, even though he's ranked here at 32nd, which is last on the list, I would not be surprised if by the season's end and going into next season, you're looking at Darnell Wright being ranked much higher than that, because we've seen what Darnell Wright can be, what he has been, and the growth that he showed over that rookie year. And things are pointing in the right direction for Darnell Wright. But overall, it seems like Pro Football Focus seems very favorable about the Chicago Bears tackle position. Now, again, these are preseason rankings. They hold so much weight, right? Only so much weight when it comes down to it. But I think that it offers a different view. And I think that it's always, when national kind of media talks about a team, it's one of 2 things that can happen, right? You can either tell very early that the national media doesn't actually pay attention very closely to the actual teams in and outs, or it can give a perspective on it to where it's like, sometimes as Bears fans, and I say this about every fan base, when you are a fan of a particular team, that's what the team that you watch week in and week out, sometimes you can be really zoomed in up on some of the glaring mistakes of players. And I think that's something that's happened with Braxton Jones. He definitely has mistakes in areas that he needs to grow. But the conversation of talking about Braxton Jones as if he's terrible, one of the worst tackles in the NFL, it's just not correct. The statistics don't break it up. The rankings amongst his peers don't break it up. And the way that he's viewed by some non-Bears fans don't support that either. So at the end of the day, Braxton has a lot that he has an opportunity to show this year. He does, especially with Amaganje there. It could be a season where if Braxton doesn't progress in some of the ways that we need him to progress, and Amin comes in there and he develops really well for the Bears, I would not be surprised if he may get passed up. But at the end of the day, Braxton Jones is still a player that has shown some things, and let's see if he can develop those. And Darnell Wright, we already know the expectations are extremely high for Darnell Wright coming into his second season, and that offensive line overall, right? There are tons of things with the Bears not going out and getting big names or getting big-time prospects in the draft on that offensive line. It comes down to, what do you guys really show for the Chicago Bears team in an offense that, we're expecting a lot out of and expecting at some point to get firing on all cylinders, and we'll see what that is. Speaking of that offense overall, PFF has also been ranking, like I said, going position by position, and they rank the top 32 wide receivers in the NFL, and all three of the Chicago Bears wide receiver core was ranked in that. You had first DJ Moore coming in, ranked out as the number 12 wideout overall in the NFL. And when you look at his production last year, over 1,300 yards receiving on 96 receptions at that, having the touchdowns that he had, and just, being the biggest part of an offense that staggered a lot last season. It left a lot to be desired. They had kind of their flashes at times and in games, but overall, the offense left a lot to be desired. Those 8 touchdowns, over 1,300 yards. Listen, DJ Moore showed a whole hell of a lot last season, and he deserves to be ranked in that. This could be the season, especially with improved quarterback play, improved offensive schemes, things like that, and where we are, that we can even see DJ Moore get up to maybe in the top 10, but he was ranked at number 12. And then you had Keenan Allen coming in at number 22 out of 32 there. They talked about his over 100 receptions and 1,000 yards receiving in each of the 5 out of the last 7 seasons. You look at it, he was 6th in the NFL in receptions last year with 108, and he did that in only 13 games for over 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns. We know what Keenan Allen is, and we know what we added by bringing in Keenan Allen to this young offense with a rookie quarterback. He's going to have a big season for the Chicago Bears, I think hugely, and he's going to be looked at as being a big part of why the Bears offense takes several steps forward this season. And then you got Rome Odunze as well, coming in at number 29 out of 32 there. And he was, really high on there for the list of rookies as well. He was the 3rd rookie named on the list after Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors. There's also players that were drafted before him. But you look at it, the Bears have 3 wide receivers that, depending on situations, could all be a wide receiver 1 on teams. If Rome Odunze went to a more rebuilding team, he'd probably be the wide receiver 1. Keenan Allen, he's been that in San Diego, and DJ Moore's been our number 1 wideout. And so having this trio here now and seeing the respect that it's getting, we talked about a list that it was on last week as well. The fact is that this is all building towards the expectations for the Chicago Bears offense, and we got to see if they're going to be able to live up to it. But it's good to see when your team is being recognized, right? And that's all we can do right now. These preseason rankings, like I said, take them with a grain of salt, take them for at face value for whatever you do it at. But it's something to be said that it goes to show the different way that the Bears are being viewed as an organization right now. We didn't have that last year. Our wide receiver core was ranked as some of the bottom coming into last year, even after the acquisition of DJ Moore. The doubt around the Bears is starting to see why the Bears have expectations to compete in 2024. And, we got to see if the Bears are going to live up to that, right? As Bears fans, we get our hopes up. I seen some of you guys say those type of things. And yeah, we get our hopes up, as every team does. The offseason is the time where your expectations should be up for your team. If you're coming in and your expectations are down after the offseason, then your team is either absolute cheeks or they just didn't do shit. Or you're a pessimistic fan. That's the problem with it as well. The Bears are in a position where they're reaping the benefits of a lot of their decisions is all coming down, and we still aren't done reaping some of those, right? Like, we still don't have our total haul back yet, for the Carolina Panthers trade and trading the number 1 overall pick in 2023 to them. So we still got those things coming in, but the mix between changing coaching staff, bringing in a new quarterback, bringing in a new receiving core, having a new running back, having just a revamped offense overall, on top of the foundation you've been laying over years with your defense, there's reason why there's expectations around this, right? We have a nice mix of familiar faces as well as new faces here with the Chicago Bears, and those are all pointing towards the Bears going in the right direction as a franchise, and we just got to see if it's going to come together. You can, on paper, it only means so much, and it's funny because, I get some flack from Bears fans over me saying it as on paper. I get some flack from Bears fans that say, hey, we're being a little too optimistic yet. We ain't showed nothing. What's up, son? What's up? I am. All right. Love you. All right. And I'm leaving that in because that's my son. I always love leaving in when my son pops in, coming in, asking Pops when he's going to put his clothes in the washing machine while he's walking around in that baby shirt. But, it is what it is. With that said, I know, son, I love you. But yeah, getting flack from both sides of it, and I understand it really depends on how you view where this team is, right? And how you view the expectations on this team or the talent on this team versus the reality that we're going to get. And, I've said many times that where we've been as a franchise with the Chicago Bears, the pessimism, it's easier right now for a lot of Bears fans to believe in the negative. That just is where we are as a franchise. We've seen it for so long. So it's easier to believe in those things as it stands right now. And the Bears got to show us different. There's no problem, and there should be no negatives in saying, hey, I love my team. I love my squad. I love the potential that we have, but the potential only gets you so far. Potential ain't one shit. It's the realization of that potential that it comes down to, and that's what we got to see for this Bears team going into next season is the realization of so much potential that we have on this team. And if we don't see that, that's where you're going to start getting people that just, again, go to just the Bears being the Bears, and that's a franchise that stays living in purgatory and struggle. And so one of the big things in hoping that the Bears are going to get out of that, of course, comes down to Caleb Williams. And Chris Sims, who's been ranking his quarterbacks in the NFL coming into the season, another preseason ranking. Again, so take that for what you will. It's also Chris Sims, but he ranked Caleb Williams at number 20. And so when you look at that, that shows that there's some, and the highest ranking for any rookie since Chris Sims has been doing this list, but being ranked 20th out of all the NFL quarterbacks says something as well about the expectations there, right? And he said that at this point, Chris Sims saying, I have no problem ranking a rookie so high because he's now standing by what he believes rather than chickening out in the past where he decided to not rank rookies over veterans. And so this is another thing that we all are really looking at for the Chicago Bears. Everybody's looking at what Caleb Williams is going to turn into. Chris Sims saying this, his physical talent is extraordinary. I also think he has the mentality and the maturity to handle Chicago and handle the new offensive situation. I know it may not be perfect in week 1 or 2, but I'm betting more in week 5 or 6 that, like we saw with CJ Stroud last year, we're going to be going, holy crap, Caleb Williams. And that's what a lot of Bears fans are hoping to be able to say, right? Caleb Williams' growth and development, how quick he develops for this team, changes so much of how we view this team, not just now, but the future projection and where this team can go over years as well, right? If Caleb Williams, goes through some struggles as rookies, I know some Bears fans have this as a reason why the Chicago Bears aren't going to do whatever, right? But he is a rookie. And rookies do go through things. And on top of even not being a rookie, you have a new offensive coordinator with a lot of new faces on that offensive side. And we're changing. We're getting the Getsy-isms off this Chicago Bears team because it did wear down on some of these players, right? And so having just a simple slant routes in our offense is something that we haven't seen consistently for 2 years. And it's wild to be able to say that considering some of the speed we had here with wide receivers, right? So the expectations for this team are legit. And as it seems like more and more people are coming around to, hey, the Bears may just be something next year. They still got to prove it. And that is the biggest thing. They still got to prove it. And if they do prove it, we'll end up seeing what happens with that, man. They got to end up proving whatever you're talking about with it, wherever you rank Caleb Williams in the NFC, whatever else, the expectations, the hope, the desires, all that things, it all comes down to the realization of potential. And that's what Matt Eberflus, Shane Waldron, Eric Washington, Ryan Poles. That's what they need to see this year, is the realization of the potential that we have up and down this roster, because if it isn't realized, it doesn't matter. And that's the place that we got to get to with this team. We can hear all the good things about Caleb Williams. You know, some Bears fans overreacting to the OTA struggles or whatever it is. At the end of the day, regardless of whatever we hear from now to the start of the season, realization of the potential of Caleb Williams, realization of the potential of the offense, realization of what the defense ended last season on, but can they do that consistently over a full season? Realization of the Montez Sweat effect. We need to continue to see the development, right? In the secondary. You kept the secondary together. You paid Jalen Johnson. He deserved that money. I have no problem with him getting that money. But at the end of the day, all that does not matter until they get to a place of being consistent. And so, you know, we got to see it, man. And again, they have my faith until they don't, right? Until they show otherwise. Right now, the faith that I have in this team is based off the potential. But all potential isn't realized. Some of it is. A lot of it ends to be over time. How much of it can they realize in this first season with Caleb Williams and with Shane Waldron? That's going to be the story of how the season goes for the Chicago Bears, and in an exciting season at that. So let's see. But overall, Bears seem to be ranking really well. A lot of people kind of expecting really good things of pieces of the Chicago Bears team. And overall, we got to continue to see it develop, grow, and where it's going to get to. And I think this is a place where it can get to. So let's hope so. Let me know your guys' thoughts. So as we go through this offseason period, you hear rankings and things like this. What does this do for you? As far as your feelings on the Chicago Bears, where they stand, your own expectations on this team personally of where you have it at. And just overall, do you feel that the Bears are going in the right direction? That's a dangerous question to ask Bears fans, but I want to hear from you guys over that where it comes down to it. We have a complete new phase, a phase that a lot of Bears fans called, asked for, and hoped for. And even that, Ryan Poles did more than even what those expectations were for a lot of Bears fans. Let's hope that this continues for this team, man. I really like it. We still got some questions that need to be answered, right? Could the Bears make some midseason moves? Of course, maybe even, bring in some veterans before the start of the season. The Khalil Herbert question is a big one as well that we're looking at to see what happens with Khalil over the season, because I tell you what, if the Bears don't know that they don't plan on offering him a contract extension, to me, you got to start exploring at some point what that trade value is to see if it is anything worth your while. Of course, there is that possibility of letting him walk away for nothing, not even worrying about it. But I think at that point, you got to kind of start looking at something, right? So we'll see what happens with that. I know you're going to have your overreacting Bears fans, your underwhelmed Bears fans. It's all going to happen all over the board. But this is an offseason where I am really happy about a lot of things that Ryan Poles did with this team. And let's see where it's going to get us, man. But, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.